Speaking of Apple, I'm joined by Yun-Hee Kim, Dow Jones Company Editor. Okay, Yun-Hee, Apple now trying to get into TV. What is this about?
Right. Well, TV is now seen as the next battleground. Not only Apple, but even Google is entering the space, and TV manufacturers in Asia are keen to pair up with companies like Google to enter this space. Now, what we're actually hearing from people familiar with the matter is that Apple wants to develop some sort of a device that could be as a set-top box for live television programming.
Okay, and so there's already Apple TV where we can get, our library and put it on our TV screen. But this would this be the same device that you could do one thing? I mean, that's a very Apple thing, right? To have everything on one device.
Right, correct. So everything on one device, but what will be different is that the current Apple TV doesn't allow you to watch live programming, and this actually would allow you to do that. So that's what's different.
Okay, and why would Apple want to do this at this time?
Right. Well, they've done really well with music players, tablet computers, and smartphones, and this is actually the next big thing in the tech industry. So Apple wants to jump in. Apple is very strong in software, and what they want to do is probably try to develop some sort of software that could actually be used in televisions as well, just like what Google is doing. And they want to combine their hardware and software capabilities together to target the consumer. So just like what we saw in the iPods and the tablet computers, they're trying to move that to the living room.
Okay, but now the U.S. cable companies really have to agree, right? Are they in talks right now?
So they're in talks right now, and no firm agreement or anything. And Apple actually has declined to comment on this.
Okay, any idea about the price? I mean, what would this really mean to the consumer? At the end of the day, it's, is this going to be more added value for the consumer? Do you think we could forget about these high cost cable bills, or what is it likely to do?
Well,
does anyone know?
Yeah, pricing will be really the key thing. And if Apple prices it at hundreds of dollars, well, Apple TV now is less than $100, right? So if it's in the hundreds of dollars, then I don't know if consumers will actually go for that, because cable operators now, you just have to pay them like $10 to $15 to rent the set-top box, right? So they will have to be very competitive in terms of pricing.
I'm so out of touch with the cable pricing in the U.S., but yes, I'm sure you're right. Okay,
but you have an Apple TV, right?
Yeah, I do have an Apple TV, but we just use it to kind of rent the movies, and I think of the movie cost, right, than anything else. Okay, so how are Apple TVs doing, though?
So, well, it's not a big portion of their revenue. To put this in perspective, iPhone sales in the just ended quarter at the end of June, they were like 26 million, and Apple TV sales were 1.3 million units. So it's quite small, but obviously they see a lot of growth potential. And if you compare that to a year earlier, it was like up 170%. Right. So obviously there is some potential room for growth, and Apple is looking at where they can grow, and this is obviously a segment that they're focusing on.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Yun-Hee. For that story and more, go to WSJ.com. I'm Deborah Kahn for the Wall Street Journal Digital Network.